Well, this past weekend was a wild weekend for college football. But let's start with talking about the winners. The Florida Gators, they are 3-2. They have a winning record right now.
Won 2 games in a row. Go figure. There were 2 different games that Florida played on Saturday night against UCF, Alessandra. It was really kind of weird. The first half, they looked like a different team. They played with tempo. They played with rhythm. They raced to the line. There wasn't all this shifting and clapping and taking your time. They played very fast on offense, and they crowded the line on defense, and they got out to a 24-3 lead over UCF. The second half was kind of old Billy Napier again. Slow. They played slow on offense. They didn't crowd the line on defense, 3-man lines, and they didn't play very well in the second half. They got outscored 10-0 in the second half, but who cares? The Gators needed to win a game that a lot of people thought they weren't going to win, and UCF came in there and Florida beat them by double digits. That's a good win for Billy Napier. He still has an uphill climb, man. It is a brutally hard schedule, including or starting with this week, but so far so good. They've only lost twice. They've won 3 of the last 4 and 2 in a row, so good for the Gators.
Well, hopefully that win streak for you Gator fans can increase to 3 games, but they have a very tough test going to Tennessee, who's ranked in the top 10 this weekend.
And a ticked-off Tennessee team, because
That's
Tennessee
right.
just lost on the road at Arkansas, so now they're mad. Tennessee, listen, Florida is 26-8 against Tennessee since they started playing every year in 1990. Even since Steve Spurrier's been gone, they're 18-4 against Tennessee. The Vols never beat the Gators. This might be the year they take all that out on them. This might be the year they're a 17-point favorite. They could run Florida out of the gym there. The Gators have to try and stay in that game close. If you can make it close even to the second half, then Tennessee starts worrying about, oh my goodness, here comes Florida again. They always beat us. But Tennessee's really good. They're ticked off. They're better than Florida. They're a good bit better than Florida, and at home and at night. Tough challenge for the Gators.
Wrapping up our conversations about the Gators, I remember before their bye week, the biggest issue for them was definitely their defense. Do you think that the defense looks improved after their bye week, especially after UCF?
They really did in the first half, Alessandra. Now, UCF did not turn out to be nearly as good as it looked like they were. We saw a precursor of that the week before when Colorado went in there and kind of gutted them. So UCF's not nearly as good as people thought they were. But yeah, Florida played better. They played with more urgency. Again, they crowded the box a little bit against a running team and played pretty well. I'm not sure Florida has solved everything defensively. Far from that. But remember, they allowed 240 rushing yards to Mississippi State, less than 100 against the second-best rushing team in the country Saturday night. So they're getting better. They're not there yet defensively, but that was their best performance.
Let's stay in the SEC. We're going to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. They beat Auburn in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Pretty good game, especially for Auburn, who's not having a very good season. But Georgia continuously showing that they're one of the best in the nation. They increased the AP Top 25 poll because of it.
Yeah, Georgia's very methodical. Obviously, Georgia's smarting a little bit, too, from that obviously dramatic loss to Bama. But Georgia still has a good team. Georgia's a team that even if they're kind of just stumbling around a little bit. They stumbled around against Kentucky and hung on to win. They stumbled around early on against Alabama, and even though they came back, they couldn't come back fast enough. They stumbled around a little bit in this game, too. But Georgia can flip a switch, and they can go from a 1-point game to leading by 3 touchdowns, and that's what happened against Auburn. Auburn's really struggling, by the way, under Hugh Freeze. I thought they'd be better in his second year. But Georgia's a methodical team. They're still one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country.
This weekend, it's going to be a dogfight between Mississippi State and Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs are hosting the Mississippi State Bulldogs this weekend. And when we watched Florida against Mississippi State, I mean, Mississippi State is not a good team right now.
No, they bounced back the week after losing to Florida and hung around with Texas for about 2.5 quarters before the Longhorns pulled away. But this will be an easy one for the Dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia's got a very good football team. This will be an easy pickings, I think, for Georgia this weekend.
Well, Florida State, they got this week off. Next week, they play Duke on Friday. So Friday night lights for the Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, I would say this. Look, Florida State's not very good. We're all shocked. It's one of the shocking stories in college football that they went from 13-0 in the regular season, 13-1 overall, to being one of the worst teams in the country. I'm shocked that they're one of the worst teams in the country, or certainly one of the worst records in the country. But I thought they battled against Clemson. They came back. I thought Brock Glenn showed a little something. I thought, look, he's got to be their quarterback. DJ Uiagalelei is down for a while anyway, but they need to play the young guy. Brock Glenn's not great, but I think he's got a toughness to him. Jordan Travis is a big fan. He was on the sideline talking about him. I think Brock Glenn played better than I thought he would. They got back in that game. Now, they couldn't win it. They got it to 10 points, and then Clemson put it away. But I thought FSU played with some toughness and with some moxie in that game. It's going to be a hard year. I mean, they've already lost all these games. They've still got to play at Miami. They've still got to play at Notre Dame. I don't know. They can beat Florida in the season ender at home. But right now, Florida State's got to take it one game at a time and play a little better. I thought Brock Glenn was better than I thought he would be.
Do you think that the offense kind of rallies around Brock Glenn more now, especially just because of, he was with the team last year, and now he's going to be the starting quarterback. Do you think that he still has to mesh with the offense? You think, they kind of already rally around him?
There's some truth to that, Alessandra. They knew him. They had to get to know DJ. But DJ's a good guy. DJ's a good leader. DJU is a respected guy. He's just an okay player. Brock Glenn is just an okay player, too. But I think FSU said, listen, we're having a lousy season. We're at home. Let's battle and fight a little bit. And I think it's as much that as it is anything else. Now, having said that, it's a tough schedule the rest of the way. You got to have 6 wins to get to a bowl game. I don't see FSU winning 6 games. I think the Noles are going to go from 13-0 and should have been in the playoff to probably missing a bowl game. But one game at a time, I thought they fought a little bit against Clemson.
Rebuilding year maybe for the Seminoles. Frank, thank you so much, and thank you for watching Campus Corner.